and just down in a little section, it said JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Season 1. It was on Crunchyroll at the time. And I was like, yay. I remember something about that. It was talked about. And at this time, the memes had started to become a thing. The to be continued meme had been a big thing. Everyone knows that one. But not much of the Zellworldo, the Rees, and all that. Not much of that had come out because, like I said, Stardust Crusaders had just kind of. And so I saw that, and I was like, huh, I remember hearing about this. Let me watch the first episode. And I watched the first episode. Unique. Like, the style of art and everything was just like, this is something I've never seen before in JoJo. No, sorry, in anime. This was unique. I mean, I had seen Dragon Ball, still shonen. I'd seen Death Note. It was your typical, it was the thought-provoking one. And I had also watched, what was the other one I saw? It was that Attack on Titan. And Attack on Titan was the newer, more serious stuff. So I'd seen your typical shonen, I'd seen your typical looking one, and I'd seen your typical serious, gory one. So whenever I watch JoJo, it's kind of just this weird combination of the stuff but it was very stylized and very colorful. And it just intrigued me. And so I just started watching. And the main reason I kept watching was just because Dio Brando was such a conniving little piece of crap. I hated him so much. So I was just like, I want to see that guy eat the dirt. I hated him. So I was like, come on, JoJo, you can become the greatest. And so I watched all of Phantom Blood night because I wanted to see the ending. Because it started off like, oh, it was just going to be an interesting little thing. And I knew about stands. Like, I had known about that before. The only thing I knew about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure before watching it was that there were stands. The main JoJo guy was a guy with this hat, Jotaro Kujo. I knew about him, and I knew a little bit about the Stardust Crusaders arc, just because I had seen a few things. But I didn't know much about Phantom Blood, and I didn't know anything about Battle Tennessee. So I was watching it, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, but when did this... And then Dio Brando became a vampire, and I was like, whoa, what the heck? I didn't see that coming. And then it just went off the introduction of Hamon. Not Hamon, it's Hamon. And then I was just like, what the heck is going on? This is not what I thought this show was. But I kept awesome. It was just fun to watch. And I kept watching, and then I finished Phantom Blood. And with the surprise, I did Jonathan dying. I was like, holy crap, Jonathan died? I thought he was going to continue on. Like, here's another thing. I knew that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was based on bloodlines. So, like, I knew there'd be a new JoJo every part. That's why I saw this JoJo, this best JoJo, and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, so there's more than one JoJo. It just passes down the line. But I didn't think John. That was amazing. I was like, whoa, he died? Ugh. And then it moved on to Battle Tennessee. And that is when I fully fell in love with the show. Because Joseph Joestar was awesome. I just loved Joseph. His whole thing with Caesar was great. I liked the dynamic. The Pillarmen, like, I hated Dio. But the Pillarmen I didn't hate. But they were just awesome to watch. Like, Dio, okay, I hate your guts, but that's the only reason I even consider you a villain. Because I just didn't like the guy. Because, you know, he killed Danny and Jonathan's life. I need a drink of water. But, so, whenever the Pillmen showed up, these guys are stylish. They're these big old muscles. Oh, man. And unique. I never seen anything like that before in anime at the time. I mean, I've seen big muscles from Dragon Ball, but not that type of a style that they had. You know, whenever they appear, they go, whoa, moo! And then the whole thing just happens. That's awesome. So, I also love the fact that Joseph was just a kind of brat, but also an awesome, cool... He was the direct... Jonathan was this nice, noble, and kind person. And then I see Joseph, and he's this conniving little times, but he's still super smart, and he knows what he's doing. He has a good heart, but he doesn't try to be a gentleman. and I loved that. And so, I mean, I watched Battle Tennessee, and I watched that one with passion. I loved Battle Tennessee because this one I had no idea what happens. I would just watch, and it was awesome. Caesar's death, that got me to cry. I was really impacted by Caesar's death because I didn't see it coming. And I mean, now I know someone dies. I know I've read all of JoJo now, so Caesar died. I was like, oh no, that's shed. And then I continued on, and then I saw the ending. The ending fight with Wamu was my favorite fight. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Race, this is like Ben-Hur with JoJo, and it's stylish. It's gay Ben-Hur. So I liked it. It was really fun. And then the Cars fight, Ultimate Cars happened, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. That was the first time I was like, wait a minute, how are we gonna win this? Because like, part 1, I knew how Jonathan was gonna win. I knew he was gonna win because he had Hormone, which can kill a vampire with one hit. It was like, I know he's gonna win. But then again, I was like, wait a minute, these guys are a little bit different. They're not as much. And then once he goes Ultimate, he can use Hormone, and I was like, how on earth is he gonna beat this guy? He has this, from what I could tell. So the whole chase scene, and then in the volcano with Joseph, and the whole volcano thing with Joseph and Ultimate Cars, and then Stroheim was there, the Nazis. But yeah, I just liked it. It was really cool. It was a really fun fight, and I didn't ending at all. I thought it was actually kind of funny, and it fit well. And then I moved on to Stardust Crusaders, and then I will be perfectly honest, I did not like Jotaro Kujo at first. I was like, this guy is a dick. I don't like dicks. I mean, I like badasses, but dick badasses, if you know what I mean. I don't like it when the badass character's like, yeah, I'm cool. I don't like it whenever they're jerks to people. And that's how he was a jerk to Holly, the sweetest woman in any story. Love Holly. I'm a Kakyoin fan. Yeah, is it Kakyoin or is it Kakyoin? I think it's Kakyoin. That's just the way I say it, but I could be wrong. I used to call it Giorno Giovanna. I used to say that for the longest time until I was like, oh, it's Giorno Giovanna. Giorno Giovanna. Not Jono Giovanna or Giovanna or Giorno or I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I didn't like Jotaro at first, and then he kind of grew on me. I was like, okay, I can get into this. This guy, he did a bunch of auras. The Steely Dan beatdown. It's when I freaking loved him. But yeah, I enjoyed at first. No, actually, not at first. At first, I did not like Stardust Crusaders. I was like, this is kind of dumb. I liked seeing Joseph. Joseph was the main thing that kept me on, because I liked Joseph so much. And I also liked Kakyoin. And then Polnareff. I loved Jean-Pierre Polnareff. He was my favorite character. And the only reason I watched at times was just because he's funny. I like funny guys. And so I just continued on. Watched every episode. And let's see. Whenever it finished up with the tarot cards, and then moved on to the 9 gods, that's when I started actually liking Stardust Crusaders. Excuse me. Because, okay, this is a lot more serious now. And then the introduction of Iggy. At first, I was like, what the heck? It's a freaking dog. I do not care about a dumb dog. But hey, you do what you do. And honestly, I loved Iggy by the end of it. Oh, you know what's up. And then they got to Egypt, and whenever that happened, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I was like, I'm ready to see what happens. This is the big showdown against Dio. I knew from the start, before I even watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, about a few things, like I said, about the main JoJo, and I knew one thing. The fight it was Jotaro versus Dio, and that was the huge fight. Like, that was the big, because of the OVA that came out, it was before I was born, wasn't it? Yeah, in the 90s, yeah. Oh, man. I don't talk this much. But yeah, after when the big fight happened, I was really engrossed. Like, I was paying attention to what. It was very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. And I mean, okay, the dub has already cleared this, so I don't think I can say spoiler alert. Whenever Avdol died, that one kind of came as a shock, because I was like, wait a minute, he died? I thought he it was the fact, it was also the fact that it was just out of the blue. I didn't even realize what had happened. What I thought was going to happen was whenever the villain Vanilla Ice took him out, I was like, oh, so Polnareff is just going to fight Vanilla Ice and find a way to get him out. He just won't have his arms anymore. That's what I figured was going to happen. I didn't think he dead. He was gone. He didn't exist anymore. And I was like, oh my god. After I realized that, I was like, oh my god, that he just killed him off like that. Oh, fair, not big. I mean, Caesar's death, as sudden as it was, it still had a big dramatic. It had a dramatic thing to it. Like, you see fight with Wamu, and then whenever he died, it's a symbolic cross stone. It was like, oh, this is a beautiful thing. But Avdol's was just see it happening, and I was like, whoa. And then I got real teary-eyed when Iggy died, because I was like, oh. Because I thought Polnareff was going to die, but Iggy saved himself, and then Polnareff survived, and I was like, oh. Gosh dang it, that's... Then it continued on, and like after those first two died, I was like, huh, Joseph's gonna die, isn't he? Like, what I thought was gonna happen was Joseph would die. I mean, Jotaro was gonna win. I knew that. Polnareff had already survived, so I thought he was gonna survive. Kakyoin, I was like, he might pull through. And what happened, of course, we all know, is Kakyoin set up the trap for Dio. Dio didn't. He stopped time. Just made him a donut. Made Kakyoin the donut and put tower. Then he hit the. He used Emerald Splash to create the time. Hit the clock tower. This Dio stand did. Joseph used Hermit Purple. Goes back to Jotaro, and then he gets killed. It's like, ah. Joseph's death at first really got me, because I was like, this is a character I loved. I loved Joseph with all my heart. I loved younger Joseph, but whenever he was older, I freaking thought he was the best, because I just loved him. He was always like, oh my god, and oh shit, and it was always funny. I loved him, and then he died, and it was like, oh man, ow, it hurt. And so Dio die, of course. I wanted to see him finally lose. And then Jotaro, I wanted to see him kick his butt, and he did. The whole fight was awesome. It is amazing. And whenever it ended, I loved the fact that Joseph was still alive, how he came back. It still kind of ticks me off, because I was like, could you not do that with anyone else? Could you not Kakyoin or anyone else? Like, it was just like, I wanted him to do it to Kakyoin, but oh well, it's things. And then the ending, and then it ended, and that was it for the longest time. After that, ooh, tastes terrible. After it finished, I was like, okay, so it's done. I legit thought it was done, but for a while, not the longest time, but for a while I thought, okay, that's done. That's it. It's over, right? Over, because I looked that's whenever I started actually getting into the fandom, and I see this guy with this weird looking, with this pompadour hair. I see blonde. I see a female one. I see a cripple one, and I see this one with a sailor uniform. And they were saying these JoJos are great, and I'm like, oh, there's more than there's more to this, isn't there? And that's whenever Diamond is Unbreakable got announced. It was like saying, hey, Diamond is Unbreakable is going to start up. And I was like, okay, so this is the continuation. And when I was ready for it, and whenever it appeared on Crunchyroll, those started airing, I watched them. It was great. I was watching it whenever it aired, and I didn't know what was happening. I did not know the story at the slightest. So I was watching it with brand new eyes. I had no idea what was happening, and I really enjoyed it. It was first I was like, okay, I can't get used to this art style. It's not my favorite. And then I was just watching it, and I really liked Josuke. Josuke was just that I really enjoyed watching, because unlike, I mean, Jotaro was a high school student, but yet he did not high school student. He seemed like this larger than life adult who was just a badass. He didn't seem like a 17-year-old kid. Jotaro Kujo is 1 year younger than me. I'm 18. And that doesn't make any sense at all. But Josuke, he acted his age. He acted all the time, but he also acted mature in certain times. And then Koichi, I liked Koichi. I liked Okuyasu. Those three, I really liked them. They were just a good dynamic duo. Not duo. They're not dynamic trio. And I really enjoyed it. And of course, but the problem is I liked these characters, but I did not like the story at all. Like, I freaking hated the story. Okay, they're just doing stuff in Morio. They're fighting a new stand every day. I mean, these stands are interesting and whatnot, but it gets boring after. And then he fought Red Hot Chili Pepper. I loved the fact that Joseph shows up. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I didn't like the fact that apparently Joseph had an affair with a Japanese girl, and I was like, gosh dang it, Joseph was my favorite JoJo, and that to ruin him a little bit. It's like, don't do that to me. But it brought me Josuke, so not too mad. It got to Red Hot Chili Pepper, the ending of the fight, and I was like, okay, where do we go from here now that the main antagonist is dead? Well, not he is dead. Yeah, he did die. No, he did not die. He went to jail. That's what it was. I think. Can't remember entirely. But then it just continued on. I was like, okay, what are they getting to? Then it happened. I loved the fact that there was this tease of a serial killer. And I was like, oh, what the heck is this? And then they introduce Yoshikage Kira. And if you guys know who Yoshikage Kira is, one of my favorite villains in JoJo. Probably my second favorite. I'd say he's my second favorite. But it was just a unique villain. Like, I mean, for the previous times, it was Dio Brando. Then it was the Pillarmen. Then it was Dio. And it was just like, okay, these villains have just been powerhouses. That's all they were. They weren't I mean, sure, they were smart, but they were just huge and powerful, and that was the reason why they were villainous. But Yoshikage Kira was different in the fact that he was just a normal, I mean, he was a stand user, of course, but he was just a normal guy who just happened to be a serial killer, but he didn't have super strength. He didn't have anything like that. He just had a stand, and he used it to kill people, and he just wanted to live a quiet life and kill people. I mean, I understand why he wants to live a quiet life, because he kills people. But, I mean, he was a serial killer, so it was just an interesting... And, okay, this is actually spoilers now, because, for the dub, anyway. So if you want for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamonds Unbreakable, you can click off now. Come back before like 11:30 or so off this probably by 11 or so. We'll get off that subject. And yeah, whenever Shigechi showed up, didn't like the little kid, but he was a little kid. He was a middle schooler. And I don't know if anyone else felt this way, and I know lots of people don't feel this way. I think I'm a unique person on this. But the fact is, I got really shaken up. I got really shaken up at Shigechi's death. Whenever that happened, it really shook me up. Joseph's death made me sad as well. But they didn't really shake me to the core. Whenever Shigechi died, it really shook me and made me realize this guy's an actual threat. I mean, he'll kill... I mean... The older villains, sure, they'll kill these I mean, sure, they may be like Kakyoin was 17, but he was still very mature and kind of an adult already. But Shigechi was just a little kid. Sure, he could be a little bit of a jerk at times, and sure, he was money hungry and stuff like that, but he was still a little kid. Made me really sad to see a kid just get killed. It was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And then the whole fact of the tying out that he wants to save his mom. And it was just like, oh my gosh. I felt really sad. And really sad at Shigechi dying. And I know, and everyone I saw a lot of people just making fun of it. And I was like, why would you make fun of this? This is really upsetting. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So that made me actually want to see Yoshikage Kira. I wanted to see him die. I wanted to see him be beaten. And I know that's what Araki. I know that's ending. My voice is still killing me, man. But because the show continues on, Yoshikage Kira, they hunt him down. They find him. He gets away, changes his face. He lives a quiet life. So. And I don't know. That's whenever DI started kind of getting a little iffy for me. Because I really did enjoy the villain, and I enjoyed the characters, but I just didn't enjoy the storyline. I did just hunting down a serial killer. It didn't work for me. I did shut up whenever Bites the Dust happened. Whenever the Bites the Dust showed up, like, okay, this is really interesting. It was really interesting at the time because I was like, okay, how do you beat this? I didn't know how you could beat this. I mean, this was the time that should be impossible to beat because Hayato cannot tell anyone that his father is Yoshikage Kira, or else they'll die, and it's day. I thought that was impossible to beat. But Yoshikage Kira got to gloating, and then Josuke just happened to... And then they fought. Josuke got hurt really bad, started screaming. No one came to help because apparently his screams sound like rain. Jotaro's an idiot. Kiyasu, I thought he was gone for, because I was like, they're not going to kill Koichi because he's too cute. I mean, Josuke's the main character. He's not going to die. Okay, the Joe bro that's going to die this time is Okuyasu. And I thought he did at first, but no, he's still alive. And whenever Josuke sees that Okuyasu's still alive and starts crying, that got me there. I was like, oh, that's a good moment. That just shows how good of a character he is. And then, of course, Kira loses, gets run over by the ambulance. And that's what happens. Great times, great times, great times. And I really enjoyed Diamond is Unbreakable, but also it had many flaws. I didn't care for the story, but I liked the characters, and I liked the villain. Now we're going on to... Now, after I just finished that, the anime was done, and I was like, okay, there's more to this. I want to see what the next part... And this is the time... This is my personal achievement. The first time I ever read the manga for a series that the anime hadn't covered was because I wanted to see what happened next, and that was on to Vento Reo, or Golden Wind. Again, now, spoilers for watching the anime. I'm going to go into the detail in this story and my reactions to it. This, like I said, it's full spoilers for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga. If you don't want to see it, click off now. I'm fully warning you right now, I'm going to spoil this part of the story. So if you don't want to see it, click off now, come back. I will make sure to end this at around 11:15. I'll say 11:15. Come and... Okay, sorry. That's 11:15 my time, Central Time. I don't know what that is, so it'd be... Come back in about 30 minutes, and I will be off this and on to doing something else, more fun-related. Now, Vento Reo. I started reading it and really enjoyed it because I liked Giorno. The best part about that's for the longest time for me, because I was just like, this is cool. This is Dio's kid. He's blonde-haired. I like that. I'm blonde-haired. I like her. I want to be him. And what kind of got me into voice acting was I was reading the manga, and I was always by myself. I'm in this room right now, by myself reading it, and I was just like, and I would just start voice acting or doing voiceovers for the characters. And Giorno, I fell in love voice. And it was always fun. I just enjoyed doing it. And I was reading it and really enjoyed the gang. The Passion gangs. Ooh, sorry, excuse me. They were my favorite. If I know this question appears up again, but supporting cast for any JoJo's Bizarre Adventure story is definitely the Passion gang from Part 5. Because I love Narancia, I love Abakio, I love Mista, and I love Bruno. Those guys are just great characters. They work well off each other. And they're also unique in their own way that I just reading about them. And whenever Fugo eventually leaves and betrays the gang, it's sad because I really enjoyed Fugo. Fugo was my favorite Fugo and Giorno were my favorite characters for the longest time because I liked Fugo because he was intellectual, a very smart, analytical person. I like analytical characters because I'm a very analytical person myself. So I mean, I loved Fugo. Then he decided to do the analytical thing. He did the rational thing and stayed with the boss. He stayed with the boss, not with Bruno. And I was like, I was very divided because I was like, I understand why he did it, but it makes me sad to see him go. And story continues on. They're trying to find out the boss's identity, and Abakio eventually finds it. You see, whenever I thought about deaths for the characters, because I'm always like, okay, die. That's been a rule of thumb for these characters. I saw 6 characters standing together. I knew at least 2 were going to die. And I was like, okay, who's going to die? My first thought was Bruno. First off, I was like, Bruno's going to die. He's the main Joe bro. He's definitely... And then the other one, I was like, I'd say... I was thinking I was either going to be Abakio or Mista. I was like, it was either going to be Abakio or Mista. They're definitely dead. And so I was reading on, and then Abakio... Alright, like, again, spoiler alert for Part 5, Golden Wind. I'm going to go into the deaths now of who are going to die. And whenever... First off, the Doppio or Doppio. Don't know how to pronounce his name. But his fight against Goth Abakio. I don't remember his name. Gosh, I usually remember everyone's names. But I cannot remember his... Metallica. I just go on because that's his stand name. That fight, I really enjoyed it because I was like, okay, the boss is really interesting. He's a split personality person. He meek, timid form, and he calls himself and has discussions with himself to make it seem that way no one ever finds out the boss is like him. And I was like, that's really interesting. That was a really unique dynamic right there. But and then whenever Abakio, gets killed, I was like, oh, I don't care. I didn't like Abakio. He was a jerk, but I understood. I was like, okay. He was just whenever he died, it was just like, okay, this is getting to serious mode now. People are going to start dying. And then, of course, it continues on. Because Paul Naref was like, hey, come to the Coliseum, and I'm going to tell you about stand arrows and, what the secret Requiem. And they go to him, Diavolo shows up, Doppio. I mean, of course, the Chocolata fight. Don't remember his name. The Chocolata fight and Giorno. Of course, I love that scene. It was a great beat. But I didn't hate Chocolata as much as most people did because I don't think I fully realized what he was. I'm glad the anime is actually going to make him out to be really, because I just like that they're making him a lot worse. But anyway, Bruno helped, and then I didn't fully understand what was going on with Bruno. Like, I didn't understand what the fact was that he couldn't feel anything and he wasn't doing stuff like that. I didn't understand that at first. For the longest time, I didn't fully understand that. And Coliseum happens. Polnareff thinks he found them, but no, it's just Diavolo. He stabs him. He gets stabbed with the arrow. Creates Silver Chariot wreck. Everyone switches bodies, and then Death really got me. I really didn't like it when Narancia died, because he was just impaled, and he was just like, I want to see. Was he? He want. What was it? Impaled, and he was just like, I want to see. Was he? He want. What was the things he wanted to do? Go back to school. He wanted to learn more, and that one got me because I really enjoyed seeing Narancia around. His character made me upset, but then continued on. They fought, and they had to figure out who Diavola was, and then he had the normal the Joseph Joestar send off, like their spirits rise in the sky and they look back on the main JoJo and they're like, you did good, now continue for me, continue on, and then they just go away, fly off in the distance, like they go to the afterlife, and it's like, all right, it's getting serious now. And then Giorno stabs himself with the arrow. Well, not himself, but he stabs his stand with the arrow. Gold experience Requiem. Didn't fully get it at first. Didn't fully get much of the stuff, but then it happened, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Speaking about, then Diavola gets permanent deaths, and that's the way it ends. And then Giorno becomes the boss. Permanent deaths, and that's the way it ends. And then Giorno becomes the boss, and happily ever after. The end. Hippie-doo! Man. Part 6, I'm reading it right now. I'm reading part 6. I skipped it because I could not find a good translation of it, and I was just having problems with it, and I was like, it sucked, and I knew what the ending was because I got spoiled about the ending, and I'm not going to spoil it here. I know I've been saying spoiler alerts for that past part, but spoil it. But anyway, new universe time. Now we go on to the new universe of JoJo, and that was Steel Ball Run is amazing. It's a masterpiece of Araki's work. It was so cool because it was just a giant same thing. It was kind of like the same thing with Star Wars Crusaders. It was around the world in 80 days, but now Steel Ball Run is just a giant race. What's another movie with the what's a movie with the races? It's across the country and stuff like that. And I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. Is it Hidalgo? It's got Aragorn in it. But anyway, so it was a horse race, and it's a horse race movie, and I got vibes from that. But I was just watching it, reading it, and it was really interesting. I liked Johnny, but I liked Johnny. He was interesting. But of course, everyone's favorite character. Gyro Zeppeli or Giro Zeppeli. I know that in Japan, Y-R-O is pronounced gyro. I know over here in America, we pronounce it gyro. However, that Zeppeli, it comes from Italy. And there they pronounce it Giro. Giro, that's how you pronounce it in Italian. So, the thing I always did whenever I read it is that whenever he said his own name, he pronounced it Giro. But whenever anyone else said his name that was American, they would say Gyro. So I just made a little headcanon thing that he was always like, these stupid Americans, they don't know how to pronounce Giro. They always call me Gyro. I don't understand it. My headcanon was that, I'm going to say Giro and Gyro alternatively, not to make everyone happy. My headcanon was that Gyro always was a little mad at the fact that no one would pronounce his name correctly. That was just a little headcanon thing. But the spin intrigued me. That was the new Hamon. But it was interesting because it wasn't just sun energy, it wasn't just stands. I mean, stands existed, which is weird, because there were stands for, and it was just like, I don't understand this is stupid. But it happens, that's how it works. And it was just, I liked the calculating thing, like, you have to look for the golden circle, the golden ratio, and see, everything has the perfect, or some, what is that, the golden rectangle? The golden rectangle, that's what it was. And it was just looking, you gotta look for that perfect symmetrical area, and then once you see that, spin, and then you do that. But if you shoot yourself in the head, you get even stronger. You get to be able to move around and stuff like that. And then eventually you get to break through, and it's just like... Part 7 was great. I love Steel Ball Run for the fact that it's a great storytelling one. It's probably the best story out of all of JoJo. But it was way too confusing with some of the stands. It was just way too complicated for it's no good. But there it is. I liked Funny Valentine. He was a very interesting character. I liked his whole motive of, I grabbed the napkin, so that means I am in charge first. I'm the first one to grab the napkin. I'm going to grab the napkin. And I just thought it was funny. I also liked President of the United States, and he was the villain. I thought that was kind of funny. And it was the fact that he had this power. Everyone loved him. I mean, he was a president. And everyone loved him, but he turned out to be the villain, but yet he was doing it for the good of the country, for the good of the USA. And I was like, I don't know how to feel about this, because I understand what he's doing, and it makes sense. You need to get the corpse of Jesus, which is awesome. I thought that was just funny, that they would just bring Jesus into it. But he's finding the corpse of Jesus and trying to bring prosperity to the US. I was like, okay, I understand that. That's kind of cool, but don't have to do it that way. Funny Valentine's stand, D4C, or Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. One of my favorite stand names, just because I liked that song, and I just love the name of it. And interesting ability that he just pulls out other dimensions from himself. And it's just like, that's cool. It's interesting. But it's complicated, then it's worth, my friend. Araki got real, I feel like Araki went from punching stand complicated and very bizarre stance, which is kind of the point of the show. But yeah, I liked the story. Again, part 7. Yeah, it's part 7. Spoilers for Steel Ball Run. You know what? No, I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't read part 7, you need to read it now. I'm not going to spoil it, because its ending was very bittersweet, but good, and I enjoyed it. And now part 8, JoJolian. I'm reading it currently. I'm up to date, and I really the manga. I mean, I don't like the story. I mean, the story is not that good for me, at least as of right now for me. But the characters, it's the same thing for part 4, for part 8. The characters are really run the show for me. The characters are what's making me really enjoy this part. Because I really love Gappy, or Josuke Higa 8, or Yoshikage Kira, or what's he? Jobin. No, not Jobin. Jobin. I don't remember what the name. The other guy that Kira. Okay. Anyway, part 8 spoilers as well. But yeah, I really enjoy Josuke 8 because he's just an interesting character. I like his dynamic with Yasuho. The reason why Yasuho and Josuke's relationship, I feel like that's when Araki has really learned how to write because they just seem like they are actually together. They actually seem like they really care for each other. They actually seem like they really love each other. And wow, I actually really care for these characters. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I like the Higashikata family. Joshu's just a jerk, and I like the fact that he's an idiot. So, like, he's a jerk, but he's a jerk. You don't actually take him seriously, and I like that about Joshu. Norisuke is a very interesting character. Like, he's the patriarch, but he cares for his grandson. He cares for the family, and he just wants what's best. And he even starts to learn to care for Josuke. Jobin, he's the villain, I think. I don't know who the villain is, but Jobin is an interesting character because, again, I can't say too much. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm caught up to date, but still, the story's just going on, and I don't know what the heck they're talking about. I mean, I know what the Rokage, I know what the whole point is, but what's the end goal? What's the end game? What's the whole? I don't know. I mean, stuff with the hospital. I'm not gonna talk about Part 8 anymore because Part 8, I could talk about that for so long about how much it's, and it needs to start making sense soon, or else I'm just gonna wait. So anyway, that's my story with reading. That's my story of how I got into JoJo. You know, read through everything. Oh, sorry. Read through everything, enjoyed the parts, understood, just fun. Would you rather, Real Melody Hope asked, would you rather be a Hamon stand or spin user? If you chose stand user, well, definitely stand user. I don't care about Hamon, because it's useless against, I mean, sure, I get to live longer, but no. Spin, it's way too difficult for its own merit. Stands, I guess this will probably answer a few questions. Original stand ideas. I never really thought about it until I saw this question, and I've gotten some time. And I know myself personally, I would not have a punching stand. I wouldn't have one of those stands that are like Star Platinum, or basically any main JoJo stand that just punches a lot. I would have one of those more smaller, but it controls things in a different way. So a stand that I actually thought of, that I thought would be here's for all fan artists out there, all of my people watching this right now, if you are good at drawing and you want this, please do. It'd be great. I need you to do a fan art of me with this stand. Is basically a baton, a conductor's baton, and I wanted to call this "Don't Stop Me Now." Same from the Queen song, "Don't Stop Me Now." That's the name of this stand, called "Don't Stop Me Now." It's basically, it's like the Emperor Whole Horse's gun. It looks like a just normal gun, or just shape. It looks like a normal baton. Maybe it has a nice little unique design to it. But basically what the whole point of the stand does is it can send one person or one object. It can focalize on a person, object, or anything matter-wise. If it has matter, it can focus. And what I think it does is it can centralize on that one object, and basically what it does is whenever you conduct a tempo, and then will age or continue on with life in that same tempo, maybe a little faster. So like say there was a person there and I wanted to kill that person. I would use my stand, centralize on that, and do like a cut time, real fast tempo, and within like 10 seconds they just wither up into a bag of bones. Here's its weakness, I say. It can only centralize on one specific object. So like I can focus entirely onto one human being. Like I can't age the entire human. But what I can do is I could make that eyeball just disintegrate, and then I'd move on to the next bit. Or I could focus on your skin, your entirety of your skin. I mean, it's all connected. Focus on your entirety of your skin and watch it just disintegrate, and you'll just be all muscle showing and organs blown out of the ground. That is awesome. So I could focus on one central point. So like I could do this with any object as well, with maybe a rock, or say my phone. Say I focus on this phone. I can focus on the outer cover first and get that, focus on this little shell. Then I can focus on the cover of the phone. Then I can focus on the battery. And that's what I think the weakness is to do a full thing. So but it can focus on one little minute detail. So, like, if I wanted to kill a human, focus on a brainstem, on the brainstem section of your body, and then get it real fast into where it deteriorates. It breaks, and then you die. Another thing about the stand that I think would be interesting, you can speed it up, but once you can stop the time. That thing will stop there as well. The problem is you can't go back. Once you make that tempo speed, once you go past the point, go back. So you can't reverse the time that you've done. Once you age something to a certain extent, you can't get rid of that time. You can't go back and make it. That's just a unique stand I always thought of. I can see it used in a variety of ways. So I think it'd be interesting. Let's see. Funny question. Do you eat bricks? The thing you ask. No, I do not eat bricks. I merely taste them. Good brick always knows what's up. How many innocent breads have you eaten? I've eaten many innocent bread. Do you like Caesar salad? No, I don't like Caesar salad. I'm more of a just regular. I like spinach. I'm a spinach guy. Like raw spinach. Get raw spinach. Get some cheese. Put some ranch on it. That's my salad right there. Do you think Speedwagon is the best stand? Speedwagon is best stand, hands down. Do you like Michael Jackson? Yes. Before he turned white. Pre-white Michael Jackson. So back whenever he was still black, that's whenever Michael Jackson is great. I love Michael Jackson. But once he starts getting... not a big fan. What non-JoJo series do you enjoy? Oh, wait, there's more to this. Doesn't have to hail from the land of the rising sun. So it doesn't have to be an anime. So basically, what other stuff? As of currently, I've just been watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind. But I also liked Goblin Slayer. I also liked Death Note. I also went back and watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood after I had some time to recuperate from JoJo. I went back and watched it and loved it. Original series, loved it even more. I'm a big fan of the original series first, and then then Brotherhood afterwards. That's just me, but they're all good in their own right. I loved them. It was a great series. There's a bunch more. The Castlevania anime. I love the Castlevania anime because I love Castlevania. Simon and Richter Belmont got announced for Smash. I was freaking ecstatic because I had been wanting them in Smash since Brawl. But things like that, and not like non-anime. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I don't watch any new stuff like that. I don't watch Steven Universe. I didn't watch the regular show. I didn't watch Adventure Time. I don't even watch Rick and Morty. I don't watch that. I'm not a big TV fan. I don't watch lots of television shows or anything like that. I watched a lot of the CWT series like Arrow and Flash. I liked them. They were good. They're now starting to wear on me a bit. But honestly, I don't watch much. I watch a lot of anime and that's it. I've been too busy, honestly, to watch a lot of television show. Do you want... You want Sprite Cranberry? Uh-huh. The answer is clear. It's the thirstiest time of the year. Yes, I want a Sprite Cranberry. I want a Sprite Cranberry right now. But I don't have one. The saddest JoJo death. Saddest JoJo death would have to be, I guess Caesar. I guess Caesar. I'd say Caesar. It was still the first one that made me actually cry. So, and I'd say it's still Caesar. JoJo part or JoJo spin-off? Ooh, that's interesting. Favorite part... It's a toss-up between Part 5 and 7. So it's a toss-up between Golden Wind, Vento Reo, and Steel Ball Run. I just love those parts really. And Battle Tennessee is second. I know that. And then it'd go. I don't know. It's hard to decide because I like them all in their own. But worst one's probably Phantom Blood, just because of the fact it was the first one and doesn't have as good writing and stuff like that. Then it'd be probably part 8. I mean, JoJolian's, unless it gets better, it's not going to get much higher on my list. As of right now, part 6 is doing really good for me. I mean, I know how the ending goes, so I'm still making it a little. I'm still putting it high up. Diamond is Unbreakable. Didn't like the story, but I do. Then it go. Yeah, and then it would go Battle Tennessee, just because I really love Joseph and I love the story. It was just really my favorite and my second favorite part. And then Vento Arreo and Steel Ball Run are a tie for just different reasons. I just can't decide one or the other. And spinoffs, I have only read. Let's see. Actually, I'm not read. I've read both Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan. I've also watched the anime, the OVA. Sorry, I've watched the OVA of it, and I really enjoy it. But Rohan's not my favorite character. I like him, but he's not my favorite. However, my favorite JoJo spinoff is definitely Purple Haze Feedback. I loved that. It was a great light novel. You need to read Golden Wind. Once the Golden Wind anime finishes, you need to read Purple Haze Feedback. It's great. It's the best part. Because it really redeems Fugo. Love it. Because Fugo was my favorite character for the longest time, and it made me sad. But now it's great. You could live in any anime world, what would it be? Probably, I would like to live in the Dragon Ball universe. Because of the fact of one thing. I know what the afterlife is. That's always the big deciding factor. There's an afterlife. It's automatically better. And from what I've seen of that afterlife, it's pretty decent. And also the fact that I can be revived with the Dragon Balls. That's it. I don't care about anything else. The fact that, just that fact alone makes me want to live in that universe. Favorite JoJo. What would be my favorite JoJo? I love Jonathan, but he's not my favorite. I'll come back to Joseph. Jotaro, he's just bland as a character. Giorno. I will get back. As much as I love Part 5, and as much as I really do love Giorno just for the fact of his character, he's still not my favorite JoJo because of the fact that he doesn't, as on his own, he's not the best character. It's the fact that he works well off of the supporting cast. The supporting cast really helps out Part 5 to accentuate it, in my opinion. If it was just Giorno, it wouldn't work as well. So Giorno's not my favorite. Jolene, I love Jolene. I mean, but she's still not my favorite. Johnny, definitely not my favorite. He's not the standout character for me. Gyro's more of the stand parts 7 than Johnny is. And Josuke Part 8. Okay. Joseph Joestar, Josuke Higashikata, Josuke Higashikata 8. Those three are always contending for me. Because I love Joseph, just because he was my first JoJo that I really did enjoy. Josuke, he seems like that one. Josuke number 4. He just seems like that guy I can hang out with. He seems just like a good guy. And then Josuke 8, he's just a really interesting character. But probably I had to pick my favorite. It'd probably be Josuke. Josuke number 4 from Diamond is Unbreakable. I still say he's my favorite JoJo, just for the fact that his character is the most relatable and the fact of being around him the most. Like, he just seems like the guy I can spend time with. I can become friends with. That's personal. That's just personal. I love all the JoJos for their own way. But hey, that's the things. Am I a JoJo? No, I don't have the birthmark. So, I technically do not count as a JoJo. What color is your toothbrush? It's green. Don't know why you asked that. I don't understand that. I mean, it's just a bunch of random questions, but I've already created my own stand. Any question? My age and height. I am 18 years old, and I am 5'7". I'm a short guy. I'm very short. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry that. Happy New Year's. It's not New Year's yet. What are you talking about? Favorite. I don't know. Favorite JoJo villain would definitely it's either Poochie or Yoshikage Kira. It's either one of those two because they're both great in their own. Valentine's good too. I don't know. I can't decide my favorite villain. It's not Dio. It's not the Pillarman. As much as I love the Pillarman, one of those three, and I cannot decide which one's the best. Oh yeah, Diavolo. I don't care for Diavolo. I don't care for the. I mean, he was just a villain for me. He really wasn't. I liked his stand. I liked King Crimson, but he wasn't an interesting villain. Just those three. They're all good in their own ways. It's I don't know. I can't answer that question. I have no idea. What is your inspiration for doing music? Also, what's your favorite genre to listen to? Any favorite bands and artists? What got me into music? Let's see. That's a story. I didn't think this was going to take this long. But, favorite... The reason why I got into music was because I've been able to... I'm a great singer. My mother is a fantastic singer. She's got the voice of an angel. And she's always made me sing. From whenever I was younger, she wanted me to sing all the time. And I did. I sang with her and lots of stuff, and I got over my stage fright of singing at a very young age. That's why I don't have much stage fright anymore. Actually, I have no stage fright. I never have stage fright. You could throw me on stage, tell me to say something, and I'll do it. That's just the way I am. Oh, man. Sorry. But yeah, she made me sing a lot, and that got me into singing. And I would just sing all the time. And then I went to choir, joined my high school choir, got to learn more about concert singing and more about classical singing, and I really enjoyed that. And then senior year of high school, I decided, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, Riverdude Covers, and just do songs I like. And at the time, I was still really into JoJo, so of course I covered JoJo songs, the JoJo OPs. Well, the rest is history. I just kept doing JoJo covers, and that's where most of you guys came from. You guys watched a few of my covers, so you came from the torture dance. But, you know. But yeah, favorite bands, favorite genre and favorite bands. I don't have a specific genre that I like. I like all genres. Legit, I like one person from every genre of music. Maybe. I'm not a big fan of country.